Are out there. I think all the kids are excited to see somebody outside of themselves. So
Right.
it's a little bit of relief. So
Did y'all win the scrimmage today?
what's that? That was a close ball game. The offense edged us out. So
Oh, really? First time ever here, right?
no, our offense has beat us a couple of times. You guys might have not been around, but
Yeah.
they've done a good job. Really good job.
So you once told me that it takes you about 2 weeks to really get a good feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
On
And I
where
told
things
you that
are.
I would answer a question.
Yeah.
When I did it. So
How is it?
it's good. It's very competitive. I think the young class, the Revolution class, has come in there, and I know Herm has said this a couple times too, that they've been very impressive. They're as advertised, so they're making moves up the depth chart, and some of them are just a little bit green, but very talented, and that's our job as a coach to get them ready when they got 2 weeks left.
Who jumps out besides Caden?
BJ's doing a good job. Joe Asai's doing a good job. The two young corners are doing a good job. So, I mean, it's, some of those guys come in and they're, normally when you have a recruiting class, what you see on film maybe sometimes not what you get. But really, when we look at just the whole collection, offensive and defensive wise, there's, we can't see anybody that you would quote unquote say is a bust, or say to yourself like, oh my goodness, we got to really work with this guy. I mean, it was a really good class. Did a really good job recruiting not only the outside but the inside. These are all great kids, great families, raised the right way, so they come into our program and they know how to work.
How many of those guys do you see yourself relying on come?
Defensively, probably about 3 or 4, and I'd rather not try to get into names off of this because some of these guys, but really at the end of the day, the guys that got here in December, or January, excuse me, they've got a legitimate chance. They're going to play some type of role, whether it's on defense for a lot or what Craig on special teams. So they're going to be on the field.
What's your level of concern about the injuries in the linebacker room?
Yeah, I mean it's we're right now we're thin, but we have options off of that, and I'd rather not get specific because of Maryland. But we have a way to kind of mix and match people to add some more depth to it. So, and I think eventually we'll get some of these guys back too.
Anybody get hurt today?
No. Oh, well, I take that back. No, they didn't. And I honestly, from a defensive standpoint, I can't answer the other way. So.
Are you?
No,
I'll take that.
I'm not allowed to.
We know who didn't get hurt.
Speaking of linebackers, are you pressing forward as if you're not going to have DeMarco Boyd?
In my opinion, he's just no longer, a part of this team right now. So,
okay.
From our standpoint, we're moving forward until Tom Herman tells me something different.
Okay.
Anybody make anything spectacular today?
I think a lot of the guys. I think where we're at right now is just a collection of plays. I think with our first unit and even some of the guys on the second unit, they're dependable now, and I don't think it's like a collection of as a unit, not necessarily somebody dominating. At least that's what I saw today. I didn't see somebody just take it over, but I did see some guys in the second group. Taquan Graham, I saw Bimage, I saw some of the young corners. I thought they did a really nice job.
Devontae is a guy that was on the bench last year, been running with the ones this year. What has he done, to kind of make that transition?
To me personally, Jason Washington has done a great job with him mentally. He's a pro now. He approaches the game. When we first got here, I think it was a collection of stuff that happened in the past. We were aware of what was going on with it, and Jason reeled him in, gave him some confidence. He went out there because he's got all the physical attributes that you need out of a corner, and then just polishing him his game. I mean, he's doing some really, really good things for us. And and me personally, he has a personality now. He's got some confidence to him. If he does get beat on a play, he can just wipe the play away and go to the next one, which I don't think necessarily was the case when we first got here.
And Todd, a little outside the box, you had a front row seat to Tom's first 2 camps as a head coach.
Yeah.
How's he grown here where the expectations are so much higher?
Well, I think the one thing that he's done a really good job of is he's stayed consistent. I think this place at some points of it, there's a lot of stress. I mean, look at the media that's here just for myself. And I think sometimes that can make you buckle a little bit and start to overthink stuff, and he's never done it. He's never wavered. And to me, if you're a player, if you're a coach, and you look at a guy that's just very consistent in terms of what he preaches and stays the course regardless of what happens, is really, really important as you're building a program. So that to me is he did the same thing at Houston, but when you go to a place like this with all the external stuff that goes along with this job, you can start to overthink stuff. There's a plan. He believes in the plan. The plan for us is the same thing what every other championship team is going through, and he's never going to change it. So that's probably the biggest thing. Not really that he's changed, that he can stay consistent. And that to me is a huge thing when you're at a job like this.
In our viewing times, we've seen Caden either with the ones or the twos. Since he's gotten here in January, what has he done to earn your trust in order to be in that starting or second role?
That's a lot of thinking back there at that position, and just a lot of communication. And when you're a young guy coming into it, especially with vets that played in the system, you can be a little hesitant. But he's taken over. He's got big speed and big range now. We're very, very fortunate to have him, and he's a real good ball player. But that's the part that I see. He's always had the tools, but in this system, to me, the hardest position in this system is at safety. There's a lot of thinking, a lot of moving parts that go into it. And during the spring, it was just, okay, what's going on? But now going into fall camp, he's really picked it up, and he's one of the guys now. They've accepted him. They know how talented he is, and they've helped him along.
Last year, the growth that Malik made was very obvious.
Yeah.
And I wondered, because Gary is still here and he's going through another year, do you expect a similar ramp up in production? And do you need him to be a star, basically?
Well, yeah. I mean, to me, this system runs through the two inside linebackers, so it's both those guys got to play well. And Gary's a unique athlete just because he's so fast. But in my opinion, he's another guy that's grown. He's gone through a system, the consistency of the system, understanding, I think last year, if there was landmines, he'd probably have stepped on every one of them. Now it's like, now he's able to kind of dance around them and understand, like, okay, this is the way that this program's run.
Right.
So when he goes on the football field, there's no clutter in his brain. He can play fast. And, he's matured a lot. He's a big voice in our locker room. He's a great example of energy and juice to go along with athletic talent. So not only does he have to play big, as he's got to be one of those vocal leaders for us on defense.
Of your 11 starters, do you have like 10 nailed down, 9 nailed down?
I think we'll watch this film, and we'll try to figure out. Usually, defensively, you need about 17 or 18. That's what I always thought.
Right.
And then emergency guys would be like, up to 22. So we're going to watch this tape and figure out, like, do I feel comfortable with, like, example for me is like, can I put Joe Asai on the field and feel comfortable versus Maryland? That's what this scrimmage was, is to find out those guys in that block, to find out whether they're dependable enough, how hard do they play, and if they do that, they're going to play. If they don't do it, then we're going to find somebody that's that. I'm not speaking about Joe, but in general.
Quick follow-up on Gary. Does he like to hit people as much as he tells us he does?
Yeah. Gary's just unique. I mean, he's going to run his mouth at times, probably a lot of times, but
Does he back it up?
yeah, he does.
Yeah?
I've never seen him back down from anything.
Really?
But, it's, if you talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. So, if you're not walking the walk around here, then they're going to call you out when you open up your mouth. I can promise you that. So if you put yourself out there, you got to go do it. So he does it.
Coach, I think a lot of people on the outside assume that you'll just do a lot of plug and play because you're missing some guys. But what are your concerns, on your defense heading into the year?
But just depth. To me, it's about depth. It goes back to the same thing I talked about beforehand. Once you get to the 11, it's 12 through 19. Is if you put any of those guys in the game, the guy's going to go oh no or oh yes, one of the two. So that to me is what we have to figure out. That's what to me personally, that's what camp's about. Is how can we find that 19, maybe the 22, based on some of the new rules with the redshirt rule and all that. So we'll figure out who our ball club is, and then we'll do exactly what you said. Okay, if I put this guy in the game, this guy might have to move over here, but we will always line up with the best 11, and then right down the line. If that defensive lineman's better than that linebacker, and we'll create something to have a defensive lineman in, we're not going to play with guys that are number 19 and number 12 is sitting on the bench. So that's how we rank them. So we're going to do that. Watch the tape today. Tomorrow will be all about personnel. So we'll sit down as a defensive staff and we're going to rank all these guys to make sure that when we put guys on the field, it's in that order. We're not going to put number 22 ahead of number 13. We're not going to do that. We're going to make sure the best athletes, best quote-unquote football players are out there.
From an installation standpoint, obviously you guys had to run base in the spring. How has the installation of the defense been so far?
Good. I mean, and I will say this: it's unique around here because offensively we have a ton of stuff that's very unique. Defensively, we do a lot of stuff that's unique, and we just go at it. And so there's a lot of ball plays that are, if you're a kid, there's a lot of moving parts. And I thought both sides have handled it extremely well. So the installation is full tilt during fall camp.
Todd, with guys like Reckon and Malcolm, what was the process like understanding their strengths and how they fit into your system?
Well, I think it was a little bit of my understanding too, more than less. I think they probably thought they were something when we got here that probably from an outside looking in, I probably would somewhat disagree with. And then as we went further along and they showed us those characteristics, and then we started making schemes for them. So I think when we first got here was like, hey, I can do this. Let's worry about playing hard all the time. Let's worry about being tough and tackling and doing all that stuff. And as they showed that to us, and I've always done this as a coordinator, is you have to prove to us or to myself if we're gonna create something for you, you better do something elite. We're not just gonna make something up because your name's Brecken Hager. We're not gonna do that. You got to prove to us. And what they've done is they've proved through spring and through last year's fall that hey, this is legitimate stuff, and you end up sitting there, but saying, okay, yeah, we got this in for you, but I didn't just make this up to say that you were right. You actually showed us, and I think that's the same thing in any position, offensively, defensively. If you show us you have a certain skill, then we will create it for you.
Todd, 2 weeks out, what excites you about your defense?
I think our speed right now. I like how we're running. Especially our speed in the back end. I think it's safety in the corner position. We're fast. And that's, if you want to play elite defense, eventually you're going to break down up front. You just got to get the ball on the ground. So if you don't have overall defensive speed, then you're going to give up a massive amount of big chunk plays. And explosive plays, they kill you on defense. So I do like that part of our overall speed.
You kind of just touched on what Sam was asking. I was just want to know what kind of identity is shaping up with this defense, coach, and what level you still would like to see?
It's still a run and hit business, you know what I mean? So, we do have a lot of scheme, and I think that part of it is, myself get noticed about it, our program gets noticed about it, but it's not built on that. It's built on fundamentals, chasing the ball and being extremely physical. And I think that is the core of it. We're not going to trick people in this business. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to call this, because sometimes it doesn't work. But the one thing that's consistent, if you play with pad level, when you chase the ball and you hit people, you can make a lot of things right. So that is what we're about. We're not a schematic, just try to trick your team and just beat you with a whole bunch of movement. That's not what we pride ourselves on. We pride ourselves on fundamentals, running to the football and hitting people.
You got a big raise. Did you buy anything extravagant?
No.
Nothing at all?
You call my wife up, see what she bought. Not me. I'm here. I mean, we've been here 15 days from myself 5:30 till about 10 o'clock. So.
Right. What did you study in the off season? Did you study any specific college defenses or NFL?
We do. What we try to do is we try to take a look at the things that are similar to us. So we'll take a look at teams that run 3-4, teams that are multiple, and try to see some different ideas. And, to us, studying things, you can see it on tape that, pretty unique. But we try to take, I'll give you an example. Maybe like a team like, Wisconsin who runs 3-4, some other teams that run 3-4. We might put their film on as an off-season study and see if we can pick up anything that they're doing that they're having success with. And we all kind of do that in this profession, where I think it's probably any profession that you take a look around the people that are successful, that play good on defense, and see if they're doing things that apply to you. But
you didn't go anywhere?
We did not this year.
Yeah.
We did not.
So realistically, how much did you really consider leaving and going somewhere else?
Realistically, it really never materialized, to be honest with you. I mean, all the noise and the outside stuff, it's like you can go in here, and nowadays it's hard because it's like, I don't want to sit here and be a distraction for people, but sometimes you got to like defend yourself or you just get waylaid. But most of the stuff was just completely false. And then to me personally, we got something really special here. We really do. And to me, it's like when you ask me the question whether there was anything real, wasn't. I mean, honestly, I'm excited about this group. I really am.
How are you gonna prepare for a Maryland team? You don't know who the coach is, just don't know what the quarterback is.
This has been all about us. You know, it's been all about us. This whole camp, and Herm came in day one and said, fellas, this is fundamentals technique, and find out who your top 17 to 19 guys are right now. As we move forward onto this, we'll start to get into some scout team work and all that, but to me right now, the focus has been completely on us.